And our correspondent Samir Sejvovic joins us now live from Tehran. First of all, we just saw the pictures there of the funeral and the stampede, 50 people killed. How has the country reacted to those deaths?
It's a very sad day added on to the sad days which Iran has seen in the past couple of 3 or 4 days since the killing on Friday, the killing of Qasem Soleimani in Baghdad. I was here yesterday where 2 million to 5 million people gathered here in Tehran, also paying their last respects to Qasem Soleimani. After that, the body went to Qom, and then, as you saw today, to Kerman, to his home city. The whole funeral process was postponed as the masses just started pouring into the cities of Tehran, Qom, and Kerman, and it is millions of people coming out to pay their respects to Qasem Soleimani. Qasem Soleimani was seen as a national hero. He was seen as a normal person rather than just a military person, a politician. Among Iranians, he was very beloved, and this tragic stampede today added onto the pain of the Iranians as many gathered in an attempt to, like I said, express their sorrow and pay their respects. Another sad thing which happened here in Iran.
And Samir, the US Secretary of State just gave a press conference, very strong words against Iran, unapologetic, saying the US president did the right thing. How do you think that will go down in Tehran today?
Not very well. I think Tehran is already on its toes in terms of trying to deal with the situation, and the people in the streets are wanting from the government to retaliate. As you can imagine, we were all aware that there was some type of proxy war going on between the US and Iran, with the US pulling out of the nuclear agreement 2 years ago, with the proxy wars in Iraq and Syria. But taking out the first man, such as Qasem Soleimani, puts this battle in a whole new perspective. It puts the region on edge. And here in Iran, the narrative which they're seeing by a lot of US media and Western media, they're telling me that it seems to be that just the letters have changed. That, you know, back in the days when George Bush decided to attack Iraq, the statements were contradictory. They went into and invaded Iraq based on claiming that Saddam Hussein had chemical weapons and weapons of mass destruction, which later proved to be wrong. And then you had Donald Trump just today say that Qasem Soleimani was an immediate threat to American lives. Now you have Pompeo saying that he's, you know, Iran is being accused of dealing with the Taliban in Afghanistan. Here, the people are not convinced of the stories. Nobody's buying these stories here. That's the feeling that I'm getting. I've also spoken and I've listened to Sayyid Mohammed Marandani, who is the director here at the University of Tehran, and he has said, you know, people are looking towards Iran to de-escalate the situation, but he has reminded viewers and the anchor and the journalists that it is not Iran that has put this situation on the table. It is the US that has killed one of their top men in the military, Qasem Soleimani, and that Iran will definitely retaliate. And those are the fears of the whole region, that it's going to cause further chaos in a region which is already in chaos with the war in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria, the war in Libya going on. All these things are very closely tied together if you take into account coalitions and alliances.
Absolutely. And among all of this, there are so many people on those streets behind you there caught up in this. And one of the points Pompeo mentioned was the sanctions. He referred to 1,000 sanctions the US has placed on Iran. He also said their budget would fall short this year. How weak is Iran right now, and what will this, how will this further damage the economy and impact people that are already suffering?
Well, it is true that the sanctions have definitely left their marks, but at the end of the day, we just heard from Ali Larijani this morning, the parliament spokesperson, that the Iranian parliament has designated the Pentagon and the U.S. military as terrorist organizations and terrorist personnel. At the same time, they've put aside $200 million for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard to counter any military operations against the state of Iran, against the Islamic State of Iran. So that puts things into perspective. Although that, there's a perception that Iran might be running out of money, I really don't think it's the case. It is trying to make ends meet, that is without a doubt, and the economy may be struggling, but at the same time, you have to remember that this nuclear agreement was reached between the United States, European partners, under the umbrella of the UN, and then the US decided to pull out of it. Now imagine what would have happened if Iran was the one pulling out of the nuclear agreement. I think we would have come to conflict even further, but that is not the case. Right now we have a US administration which has decided to pull out of a nuclear agreement, and we are here where we are. They're talking about, in particular, Pompeo is talking about furthering sanctions, but the sanctions are not affecting the regime in Iran or the government in Iran. The sanctions are preventing people from getting health care. The sanctions are preventing from people from travel, business ventures, normal people. It's not affecting the government as much as the Americans maybe would like so.
And that's the people that we cannot forget. Samir, on that note, thank you very much indeed. Samir Sejvovic, live for us there in Tehran.